Now, I remember in 2017, yeah, I went back home after 5 years of being in China. Yeah, after 5 years. And as excited as I was, it was one of the most feeling of uncertainty I've ever had because I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, I remember my little brother 5 years ago, he was a kid. Yeah, and I remember seeing him on camera and he was almost as big as me. And I remember coming out of the plane and I can just feel the air of the island, yeah, on my nose. And that's when I know I was home. And for those of you who don't know, I'm from a very small island. And I remember on the first day, I decided I want to go to the beach. Yeah, so I got up at 5 and I journey all the way to the beach. And the beach is about 10, 15 minutes away from my house. And on my way there, as I'm approaching the beach closer and closer, I can hear the waves, I can hear the birds. And as I get even more close, I can see the fishermen, yeah, pulling their seine and just getting ready for the morning. And that's the usual vibes on the island. And as I got closer, one of the fishermen noticed me. And he was like, you're not from around here, are you? And I responded, of course I am. I just live up the street there. And he was like, no, something about you is different. There's something about you is really different. And on that day, he said something else to me that jumped out. And this stuck with me for a very long time. And I want to share this with you. He said that uncertainties is where the magic happens. Because every time he gets up, yeah, to go fishing, he's never certain whether he's gonna catch as much as he did the previous day. However, in that uncertainty, it's the birthplace of possibilities, creativity, and change. Because during that period of uncertainty, he learned something new about fishing every day. And I really want to leave this quote for you as Karina is about to grace you with her presentation that uncertainty is where the magic happens. It's the birthplace of possibility, creativity, and change.
Hi there, Adrian here, and this is a video from a Zoom session that we do. We do these Zoom sessions every Sunday and we take questions and answers from the audience, some of our students, some of our members. We never know what questions are coming up, so I'm always excited to do these sessions and I hope to see you at one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out the other playlists that we have. Thank you, enjoy.
And today we have the beautiful Karina Lemire. Yeah, Karina is a stroke survivor and a trauma survival coach. And today she'll be sharing with you on the topic of coping with uncertainty. And without any further ado, I'd like to hand you over to the beautiful Karina.
Hello, everybody. um, who here has experienced uncertainty, not knowing exactly what was going to happen? Example. Thank you. So, do you care on sharing, Darko, on when did this uncertainty happen for you?
Oh,
What event of life, and you were completely off the chart. It had nothing to do with what you originally thought it would.
yes, I want to share. It was yesterday. I was going to I get my last exam, which I'm going through for my development to become a gestalt therapist. And it was a very uncertain. I was a very under pressure. So it does not allow me to move. I was fist. There was a lot of uncertainty because I don't know what will happen. And today I'm feeling released after the things.
Feeling relieved, exactly.
Relieved.
Good.
Yeah. After
Good.
the event happened.
Okay, and how did it go, by the way?
It go good.
Better than you expected? Better than you expected?
It was okay. It was okay.
It was okay? All right,
It was okay.
cool. Well, I'm glad to know that. Anybody else? Okay, well, you know what? Every time our boss tells us, I need to see you in my office, what is the natural first thing you think about? Oh shit, am I in trouble? What did I do? And very often it has nothing to do with that, right? They want to praise you for something that you have done well. Perhaps they want to give you a raise. Never heard of such a thing happening. But yes, or sometimes we ask ourselves, am I going crazy? Right? Am I going crazy? And in fact, we don't. Before fixing a problem, guys, do you agree that we need to know what a problem is? What's going on? Right? Well, that's what happens when we are uncertain. What happens is that uncertainty is one of the key elements that sustains life. Without being uncertain, life would be boring because we would know what to expect, right? In some circumstances, it's right. It feels good to know what to expect because you don't like surprises. But in other circumstances, you need to have that uncertainty that keeps you alive, basically, that keeps you on your toes. Okay. What would be the underlying issue? What would be the underlying issue, guys, of being uncertain? Do you know?
Well,
Darko?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I like to always use these technology as a good metaphor. Yeah, uncertainty to us as human being is like a notification. Yeah, it's that notification trying to get our attention that we need more clarity in a particular area of our life, or we need more clarity around a particular situation. And I also resonate with this idea of confusion is the doorway to wisdom. Yeah, whenever you're experiencing this feeling of uncertainty, yeah, you're confused to some extent. So it's literally creating that possibility for you to learn something that maybe you haven't been aware of before. So that's a really powerful reframe. So I like when you said that, if there's no uncertainty, life would definitely be boring, and I can resonate.
That's thank you. That's true. And I see that Jay wrote in the chat. By the way, guys, if you don't want to talk and you want to write something, maybe Dino or Darko can keep me up to speed on the thread that's going to be going. Jay says that stress causes uncertainty. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the biggest thing that makes us uncertain. And stress can be activated by fear, anxiety, and worry. And these are for the future. We stress very much for the future. Yes, Darko?
I want to say, I think this stress, this uncertainty comes from our need for control. So there are people who really want to control everything, but sometimes we need to train ourselves to be okay when we don't know, we do not have control, because not every time in the life the things depend on us, on our we cannot control everything. We can do our best, but we cannot influence. So we need to accept this.
That is very true. Very true. I forgot to start, guys, with mentioning that I would like to have a feeling of togetherness here. So whoever wants to speak, I want you guys to know that imagine in your mind that we are around a table together. We are sitting and we are having a Sunday afternoon discussion together. And we're talking about stuff, about life. And so really, I want this to be the most interactive that you can be, because we're having a chat, right? I'm not the teacher here. I don't have a blackboard behind me, right? And But absolutely, Darko, I had it written down. Yes, uncertainty is our fear of loss of control. We don't know. We don't like to, it's human nature to not like to lose control. We like to know everything at every minute. But what happens when we are freaking out and there's parts of our life that is uncertain?
And going into techniques or methods for dealing with uncertainty. And I think it boils back down to one primary thing. And I think most of the coaches in here would agree with me is self-awareness. They're really becoming aware of what you're feeling during that time of uncertainty. Because for each one of us, that uncertainty can be around something different. The trauma can be something different from each of us. And I think one of the most practical and powerful tools that I do use to approach this is the what we call the Walt Disney strategy. That's where you start looking at the situation from different frames. For example, maybe you can start looking at from the dreamer. Yeah, think of all the different possibilities that you can create from this particular situation and don't limit yourself. Imagine that you are a dreamer in this moment. Yeah, and you can use different points on the floor to represent a different frame. And once you're finished with that, yeah, change the location and start thinking of the situation from the point of a realist. Yeah, if you what realistically, how would you navigate this problem or this challenge? Yeah, and then the last frame is the dreamer, the realist. Darko, help me here. What's the third one? And the critical, the critic, the critic, the critic, yeah. And then, so these are the three different frames. The dreamer, endless possibilities. The realist, bringing things down to earth and look at what you have and really be real about the situation that you're facing. And then be the critic, yeah. All the learnings that you've gotten from the dreamer and the realist, and think, what haven't they thought about? Yeah, and be really critical about it. And you can do this technique over and over, and this would help you find what we call clarity. Yeah, and it brings you a heightened sense of awareness that you can navigate any problem or any situation that you're approaching with this level of uncertainty. Or another simple one, just throwing all the NLP techniques out of the window. Yeah, go for a walk. Yeah, find a place in nature, go for a walk and really get grounded. And you would most definitely find that sense of peace within yourself, because I do believe that we have all the information that we need to really solve whatever subjective problem we're creating in our life. And once you find that point of peace within yourself, you would know what's the next best step for you. Yeah, go ahead, Darko.
Yeah.
I want to share, I think last week I was talking with Adrian and I felt some uncertainty. And the question was, what is the role? What is the purpose of your uncertainty? So it makes me rethink the point. Why is this uncertainty coming? And yes, it brings more awareness. So I'm asking when I'm working with clients, I could ask, what is the worst thing that could happen from the situation?
Yeah.
So it also brings some thinking.
Absolutely. I have Sunil.
I was just going to say what we were just talking about. There is something, there are two things. One is called the drama triangle, and one is called the empowerment dynamic, where you have. So I'm wondering if that's what was talked about, because drama triangle is not a good place to be in, but that empowerment dynamic is a good way you see yourself, not as the victim, right? But and then you've got a coach, and then you've got, I've forgotten the other one, somebody who encourages you. Now this can happen within you, or you need people around you to do that. But having the drama triangle is very hard to deal with.
I find that when Sunil talked about drama, that drama can be very addictive. Drama can be addictive if that's all you've known all your life. if that's all you've known all your life from childhood, it can be addictive in the sense that it's your comfort zone. It's what you're comfortable. You don't like it. But due to that uncertainty that you had all your life, it brought you to a specific way that you are today. And that's when, okay, fine, having the drama triangle and the empowerment and everything is fantastic. But before all that, you need to acknowledge. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because Darko looks not Darko, Dino.
Yes.
But exactly, and I think that it's a matter of getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
There seems to be a fine line between the understanding of what is uncertainty and what is anxiety that develops between the feelings that a person has. And I was thinking perhaps to add some clarity that uncertainty is a temporary situation, whereas anxiety is a continuing feeling of uncertainty of what to do in your life. So maybe to distinguish between those two might help the people here in my observation. And one other thing that I wanted to say is that what Sunil was saying about the Karman triangle was purely regarding a conflict situation. And I don't see the relationship between uncertainty and a conflict situation. That I believe they're fairly distinctly different.
But
I've used the Karman triangle in coaching where people don't understand in a management concept their behavior, where they will create something, and it's usually we use the word victim and perpetrator, where we move and we have a comfort zone. So I sort of just want to clarify, I can't see how they relate in my experience, but just wanted to clarify that part about the uncertainty against anxiety. Thank you.
Thank you. That is actually a good point.
When you actually look at, because complex PTSD has only just been recognized over the last 2 years in the ICD-11, the DSM still hasn't recognized this, and complex PTSD by its very nature is complex. So when we try to compartmentalize things and say things like uncertainty and say the drama triangle, the empowerment triangle, they are not going together or can't see how they can basically, there is something common between them or not. What's the link? There is actually a link. There is a link because unfortunately with childhood abuse or complex PTSD, it leaves a lot of uncertainty in a person how you interact with people. You're never safe because you have the 4 F's, fight, flight, freeze, all kind of responses, and you're hypervigilant. So you're hypervigilant because you don't know, because you never knew in your childhood if you did something, what was going to happen. You were always uncertain about whether you're loved, you're cared for, whether you're saying the right thing, how to remain safe, etc. And then you go into that, and then you see the drama triangle in your family life. That is the normal thing, and it's frightening, and it's not nourishing in any way else. So these whole things, they all sort of interrelate in a way. It's not a straightforward, the anxieties, looking towards the future and wondering if it's going to happen. So there's the uncertainty for you. Then you're looking back and there's the depression that comes up. So it's not just like it isn't linked from personal experience. and also belonging to groups, and also having treatment, I began to see the linkages.
I love what's happening here. I love what's happening is that Sunil has one perception and Jay has one perception. So would you say that, guys, just by a yes or no, we don't need to have a conversation about this particular question, but when we come into the room, every Sunday when we come into the room, it's uncertain what is going to be said, if opinions are going to be the same. That is why Adrian makes this room every Sunday, to have an open discussion like this and to let out our opinions. We have a topic, yes, but we can talk for hours and hours about many things, Mr. Sunil. But unfortunately, we only have 90 minutes. Yes, Dino. Yes.
I think what I'm learning is that uncertainty is quite a subjective experience, meaning we all experience uncertainty maybe in our own special way. And like listening to what Sunil said, I'm starting to understand that, okay, maybe for certain people, the root cause of their uncertainty can stem from, maybe a childhood abuse situation. Yeah, the source of my uncertainty can maybe also stem from maybe me getting attacked by a dog when I was a kid, and now I'm uncertain of making certain decision in situation that reminds me of that unconsciously. Maybe for others, it may be uncertain whether or not the decision that you're making now, you're confident in your ability to get it done. So there could be many different root causes to why you may be feeling a certain level of uncertainty. And that's why I said initially, I think the number one tool for approaching or help deal with any level of uncertainty, that is a heightened level of self-awareness. Yeah, and you can use many different approach or tools to increase that level of awareness. And Sunil spoke about the empowerment triangle, was it? Yeah, and you talk about the coach, creative, and the other archetype. And it was very interesting that I shared about the Walt Disney strategy, which more or less kind of have different archetype as well, the dreamer, the realist, and then the critic.
Yeah.
And these are different tools that you use to help you become more aware. It helps you to step back from the situation and now see it from a different lens. Yeah, and we speak a lot about these different frames in NLP. Yeah, whether we're using a discovery frame or the what if frame. Yeah, and these help us to distort our subjective experience. And that's one of the most beautiful thing about being a coach. You have tools where you can use these tools to help people alter their subjective experience and create positive change. Whether it is they're suffering from extreme PTSD, whether it is they're suffering from a series of anxiety, or maybe something that is causing this level of uncertainty. So first, I want to say thank you, Sunil, for sharing. Yeah, those are things that I wasn't aware of, these tools, and it gives me an opportunity to learn even more. Yeah, and I really want to appreciate Jay as well, because at first I was a bit confused as to the connection, and as a result of he bringing that up, it made me start thinking along that line. How are these connected? So I really appreciate that as well.
Thank you. So there was 4 points. If you looked on the itinerary on the topic today, we were talking about raising self-awareness. So that thing you have in your stomach, madame, that is raising your awareness that something big is going to happen.
It happens every day.
Exactly. Then when that happens, when we have uncertainty from our childhood, what do? We learn to fend for ourselves. Right? If you guys want to go on that route, if Sunil, you want to talk, it's true. When we are uncertain, we end up being our own advocate very often, and we become driven often. I can talk by experience that I had that self-awareness. I've developed with resilience. I've developed my reliance on myself. But those two brought me to today, brought me to my sense of purpose, which is a third thing. Uncertainty brings us to our sense of purpose. My whole life has led me to today. I didn't know what I was going to do 20 years ago. I didn't know what my life was going to be like, who I was going to meet. But now, fast forward to today, my sense of purpose is spreading the words. Like Dino said, I'm a stroke survivor. I'm a coach for stroke survivors and caregivers. I have a podcast that is top 10 worldwide, by the way, guys. So thank you. Have I not have all that happening in my life, I would not have my purpose to empower, inspire, and give hope to other stroke survivors around the world that if I made it, they can make it too, and then blah, 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 blah. We have a whole bunch of tools, right? But that's the sense of purpose that we develop. But I know we have about, 20 minutes, Dino, left?
That's correct.
And I think, yeah,
So
and I
if
just
it's okay with you guys, I put 3 categories together. Okay, of how to deal with life's uncertainty, because we never know what's going to happen. So the first thing is to be kind to yourself, to accept and be actionable, be ready to do something concrete that you can see results. Another thing in life to help reduce anxiety and deal with everyday things is really to reflect on past successes. Something you have done really, really well in the past. You are so happy and satisfied with your performance that it raised your self-confidence. That helps to diminish the effects of anxiety. So when we add that to grounding, like Dino suggested before, or going for a walk, that's a stupid joke, sorry guys. Then developing new skills. That's also something that is empowering. By developing a new skill, you're learning, you are adapting, you are sharing, you are giving. Therefore, when you're putting your energy in growing, your anxiety level goes down. Your anxiety level goes down. Limit exposures to news is another thing that you can do to deal with uncertainty. To deal with uncertainty. I don't watch the news at home. I don't listen to the news. I'll go on Google if there's something huge happening, and I'll go read my news on the computer. Otherwise, I don't need the negative effect. Like when my mom died in 2018, I couldn't watch movies that had the violence inside for a while. So, because then it triggered something in my head, you understand? So I limited my exposure to that. Dwelling. Who here dwells? Do you understand the word dwelling?
Dwelling.
Dwelling, do you understand the word?
Yes.
The hamster's always rolling. It's so easy for all of us, to get caught up in our own heads and scenarios that probably will never come true. It is so easy. So we have to avoid doing that. And last but not least in life, to help diminish your anxiety of uncertainty, is really take your own advice. So as I was getting my lists ready, that I've done my research, the last one said take your own advice, and I thought it was fascinating because we're always so eager or capable of giving great advice, and sometimes we can't even take care of ourselves. And then the anxiety goes up, right? At work, how could you, I'm asking you guys, how could you deal with uncertainty at work if your colleague is better speaker than you? What could you do to deal with that? Your colleague does really good PowerPoint.
Well, I basically have dealt with those kinds of things in a very different way. I dealt with those as an opportunity to learn and to appreciate the other person. And from appreciation and picking up things from that person, I then developed newer skills. So I was grateful that somebody had the skills and I was like in learning mode. So I was going, wow, that is really
Excellent.
good. I enjoyed that.
And did you get down on yourself? Or did you have that feeling that you were happy? Did you say, damn it, I can't do something? Or
no, I had a very open-minded approach because I worked in the IT field. It was always evolving, and I liked sciences and things. So it was like, wow, isn't that great? I've learned something new. And then I also knew things that other people didn't know, so I shared it. And in that way, this I can't say the word, this friendship, that built, and respect for the other, respect. I didn't expect them to respect me, but it was nice that they said, Sunil, wow, we didn't know about that. And I used to think, oh, that's really great. I felt good. And I used to compliment them and I said, I've learned something new. That's good. So it was like a very shared experience. So, someone being better than me is good because then I've got a chance to learn. But if I'm mixing with people who don't know as much as me or as much as I do, then I don't mind if a person knows less than me. I can coach them, help them to grow, which is as a manager I did for my staff. But then I learned from my staff as well. It's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. So it's really a great place to be in when you've got people around you who know more. And it's great to be around people who don't know more because then you've got a chance to, how can I say, not show off, but to be kind, compassionate, and understanding of their position and come from a point of view of supporting them and seeing them grow, which is really beautiful.
Thank you. Jay, you're quiet here. You're quiet, my friend. What have you done at work to deal with your uncertainty for a specific thing?
I use a coach. I use others to help clarify my thinking and what is happening so that I don't get caught up in that cycle of self-evaluation, which may not be based on reality.
I like that. Yeah, it's not based on reality. It's all up here, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. It's the mind perceives that and has an expectation of something that might go wrong, and that then causes anxiety instead of living in the present, looking at what the circumstance is, or what can I control, what can I do now, and move forward. And taking action overcomes that reticence of not knowing. So, well, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yes,
in my opinion.
A little something is better than a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I can see all the NLP presuppositions flowing out from those statements. The first one came up, the map is not the territory, and that's such powerful. And actually doing something is better than doing nothing. So that way we get feedback. Yeah, there's no failure, only feedback. And maybe if I can share as well, Karina, would that be okay?
Yeah, of course.
Like as Joe was sharing, it made me think of the three fears that usually stop us. Yeah, that stop most of us. It doesn't matter what most of us are experiencing, and that's the first one is loss pain, meaning the mere act of actually taking action, you're gonna lose something. Yeah, they said people are more afraid of losing something than gaining something, even though the gain is gonna be more than what they're losing. And the next one is the process pain. We fear that the mere act of taking action, going through that process is going to be painful for us. Yeah, and that could be tied to the trauma that you have experienced going through that. Maybe taking this action to go up on the stage, you're going to get booed up, people are going to laugh. Yeah, maybe something you experienced from your childhood. And then the last pain is the fact that taking action, the result may not be as good as if you did nothing. Yeah, so we always have those three pains, those three things that we fear. And the thing is, when we become of the truth of what those are, we realize that most of these are what we create in our head and it's not actually reality. Yeah. So as I said, awareness, becoming aware of what exactly are you afraid of? Yeah, what are you afraid of that you're gonna lose? What would the process be like? Would it be as difficult as you think it would be? Is this an opportunity for you to learn new skills or maybe create a new relationship, maybe? Yeah, and really use those different frames and seeing life through a different lens than from your own. Yeah.
Can I just say
there?
Can I say a couple of things? Those lenses the lenses that you're talking about are the psychological lenses. They're to do with your schemas. And yeah, they can be repaired. And I understand where you're coming from. And that is a really good point. I like that point. The other point, like I wanted to make is, Karina, you were talking about that you have, you had a stroke, etc. And I've had an injury to my back. I've had a disability since I was 16. It's been 48 years worth. In that time, I learned a lot of things about life. One of the greatest things I learned was not to be afraid to try things, because I found it very hard to walk. I would pass out at times. But today, at the age of 64, I have finally started to, over the last sort of few years, take more responsibility for fixing myself, discovering new things, trying new things. And I'm able to walk a lot better. The pain levels have come down. I grieve over my sporting prowess. I used to play good sports, but at least I can look back and I can say, even my specialists I have, who look after me, and they've learned things from me because I've tried things and they've said, wow, that makes sense. They've done that. So from a point of view of having two disabilities that I have, I didn't give up. And so that uncertainty was there. And this is the point. Each time I tried something or wanted to try something, one thing that prevented me was the fear, what would happen if I do this? And I could be sick. And yes, sometimes I was sicker than I wanted to be because I tried something. But there were times that I learned new things, and out of learning those new things, I cured part of my disabilities. Yes. I was told things were inoperable, like I used to have a hernia going into my groin area. It was very painful. It was not fixable. But then I discovered a way of fixing it myself, doing yoga, and I showed it to my osteopath and others, and then they understood what I had done. And they said, you're lucky about one thing, but they said, what you have done makes absolute sense. So now that knowledge has got passed to them and they can help others. So from a point of view of, again, uncertainty, what is going to happen? It's fear-driven, the pain is bad, I'm sick. But then there is also the flip side when you do try.
Yes, you got it. You got it. You know, that's my sense of purpose, and that is my exact message in my podcast. When I talk to the masses, that's my message, to take action and try. And fear leads a lot of our actions as survivors, as you are, as we all are survivors of something, right? There is that fear of the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen. You and I, Sunil, did not know how we were going to get better from our tragedies. Jay had one, Jasmine had one. We're all different like that, but it brings us to action. That uncertainty, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. The uncertainty drives us to want to find, it's either driving us to be afraid and do nothing, having that fight and flight or freeze, and in this case you freeze, or you find your own way, you know? Jay says, I'm in high acuity mode, working with men with issues all weekend. I predicted the problem with Sunil a while back with Dino. He is a person in need because we love you, and you're at the right place, Sunil. You're at the right place.
And one thing which I will
We
say,
are all there.
can I say one thing that drove me was my dream. My dream, the uncertainty, but the dream was strong. I didn't like walking around. I used to cover it up well. The pain was bad, and people could see I would limp or I was not quite myself. But my dream was to get out of that and to do my best. And so the dream drove, overcame the uncertainty.
Yeah. You are a testament of all this, you know, that you don't give up, you keep going in the face of adversity and uncertainty. You just keep going until you find what's good for you, what you need. Right?
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.